Without wasting time, here are 6 most disturbing forest encounters caught on camera. On April 16, 2019, a group of urban explorers, led by the host and joined by Kyle and Brandon, has embarked on a nighttime journey to investigate an abandoned asylum which was in the middle of the woods. Known for its dark and disturbing history, the asylum is a hotspot for thrill-seekers looking to experience its eerie and foreboding atmosphere. The group parked their car near a dealership at the edge of the woods. To access the asylum, they must trek through a dense forest along an unlit trail. As they walk, the host explains the asylum's grim backstory.
This place closed down like 20 years ago. I'm not completely sure what I'm saying this, but I'm pretty sure like hundreds of people have died here.
What happened was like the people that used to run this place, they weren't trained or anything. So the people that were like, I guess the patients, they would end up like eating their own feces, or they would get super sick and die.
The facility, which closed roughly 20 years ago, was notorious for its poor conditions and incompetent staff. Patients were allegedly mistreated, neglected, and left to suffer in deplorable circumstances. In some cases, it is said they died from illness or malnutrition. The woods themselves prove unsettling as the adventurers encounter faint noises, rustling leaves, distant footsteps, and murmurs in the darkness.
That was somebody.
Yeah. We're walking down the trail. We just heard someone right over there.
He's still here.
I can hear him talking still.
Though they don't see anyone initially, the sounds are enough to put them on edge. Armed only with flashlights, they proceed cautiously, unsure of what or who might be ahead. The host frequently glances around, narrating their unease to the audience. The path is long and feels increasingly isolated with each step. Eventually, the group reaches the asylum's exterior, and their flashlights reveal a massive, crumbling structure. The building looms ominously, its decay and graffiti-covered walls bearing testament to years of neglect. The host notes that exploring the asylum itself is their ultimate goal, but their initial arrival is interrupted by the realization that they are not alone. Faint voices echo nearby, and the group spots signs of activity in the distance. They suspect other explorers or possibly scrappers scavenging materials from the building, but the unknown presence makes them hesitant to enter right away. Deciding to avoid the main building for the time being, the group diverts their attention to a nearby jail, located on the asylum grounds. This jail, surprisingly, is still active, adding another layer of danger to their exploration. As they approach, they notice lights and the faint outlines of guards or workers patrolling the area. While the group is careful not to get too close, they manage to capture a few shots of the jail's exterior. As they make their way back toward the asylum, the group hears louder voices suggesting that the strangers they initially noticed have gotten closer. Trying to avoid a direct encounter, the group hides and waits for the voices to fade. The darkness, combined with the dilapidated setting, heightens the suspense as they remain still. Unsure of who these people might be or their intentions, the host speculates that they could be other explorers, thrill seekers, or even people with malicious motives. For several minutes, the group debates their next move, torn between staying hidden and proceeding cautiously. Eventually, they cross paths with the strangers and discover that they are a group of scrappers, individuals scavenging copper and other valuable materials from the asylum. Initially, the encounter is tense, as the explorers are unsure how the scrappers will react. However, the situation quickly diffuses, and the two groups engage in a brief conversation.
Yo, we just met up with these guys.
Hey.
Yo, these were some of the guys we were in here.
Actual ghost hunters, but we on another mission right now.
The scrappers explain their purpose and seem generally friendly, much to the relief of the explorers. While the interaction ends amicably, the host decides to keep a safe distance moving forward, noting that the situation could have gone differently. Reassured by the encounter, the group turns their attention back to the asylum and finally enters one of the buildings. The interior is just as eerie as expected. Broken furniture, peeling paint, and graffiti cover the walls, and the silence inside is deafening. Every footstep echoes through the empty halls, creating an unsettling atmosphere. The host remarks on the oppressive feeling of being inside a place with such a dark history. They explore cautiously, frequently stopping to listen for any signs of movement. Inside the asylum, the group observes remnants of its past operations. Broken equipment, exposed wiring, and rusted fixtures hint at the building's former purpose. In one corner, they find a bird's nest, a stark reminder of how nature has begun to reclaim the space. Despite the asylum's decay, some parts of the building remain intact, and the group marvels at its haunting beauty. As they explore deeper, the group hears faint voices again. These sounds could belong to the scrappers or other explorers, but the uncertainty makes them increasingly uneasy. They decide to exit the building temporarily, opting to stake out from a safe distance and observe any activity around the area. The host notes how the presence of others complicates their exploration, as they must remain vigilant while trying to document their experience. Toward the end of their visit, the group meets up with the scrappers once more. This second interaction is more relaxed, and the two groups exchange stories about their respective reasons for being at the asylum. The scrappers share details about their work dismantling copper wiring and other materials, offering a glimpse into an entirely different side of urban exploration. While the host appreciates their friendliness, they decide not to linger too long, as the scrappers are focused on their task and the explorers still have more to see. As the night wears on, the group decides it's time to leave. They retrace their steps through the wood. The host describes the exploration as intense but rewarding, highlighting the mix of tension, discovery, and unexpected camaraderie. They express relief at having avoided any major incidents, especially given the initial uncertainty about the strangers they encountered, which could have led to ill consequences if not dealt with correctly. This footage comes from the YouTube channel, preside.com, a channel that shares intriguing vlogs on a constant basis. In this particular vlog, Presides documents a solo camping experience that takes a chilling turn, blending outdoor adventure with an unnerving brush with the unknown. Their goal was to camp alone in a forest for 24 hours, but the experience quickly escalated into something unexpected. After being dropped off near the forest, the host starts walking to their chosen campsite. Almost immediately, they hear a loud crash from within the woods, which he describes as sounding like a tree falling.
Alright guys, I just got dropped off with all my stuff, but I was walking just barely with my stuff and I heard a giant crash over there, over in that direction. It literally sounded like a tree falling over. I don't know what that was. I just really hope there's not people in this forest, because that actually scared me so bad.
Though unnerved, he proceeded, hoping it was nothing unusual. After finding a flat and secluded area, the host sets up their tent. The setup is completed within minutes, and they proceed to organize their belongings. The tent is furnished with blankets, a pillow, an air mattress, and storage for their gear. Once inside, the host explains their supplies, showing their food, lantern, and a small knife for protection. Despite his preparations, he admits to being nervous, noting that it's his first solo camping trip. Their previous camping experiences were limited to being with friends near home. The host begins inflating their air mattress, but hears the sound of a stick breaking nearby.
Now guys, I'm probably gonna inflate my air mattress and set up my bed. I just heard a stick snap. I'm not even kidding. It came from like over that way. I'm hoping that's just the wind.
He pauses, listening intently, and tries to convince himself it's just the wind. However, his unease grows when he later hears what he believes is a gunshot in the distance.
Once I lay down and my weight disperses, it's... Was that a gunshot? I literally think I just heard a gunshot. I don't know if that picked up on camera. I hope it did. Bro, I don't want this to be a scary video. It's just supposed to be solo camping.
While unsure if the noise was captured on camera, he expressed a mix of concern and disbelief, emphasizing that the night was supposed to be a calm, solo experience. As night falls, the host prepares dinner, opting to eat outside his tent. After eating, he plans to relax and watch YouTube videos before sleeping. The atmosphere is still manageable at this point, though the host remains cautious. Hours later, the host is awakened at 2 a.m. by the sound of footsteps outside the tent. The noises are loud and distinct, coming from close proximity. The host describes the sounds as human-like and debates whether to investigate. Mustering courage, he decides to step outside with a flashlight to inspect the area. The forest is pitch dark, and the flashlight barely illuminates the surroundings. The host remarks on how eerie the woods feel, emphasizing his isolation. As he walks around, the host discovers strange markings on a tree, which he finds unsettling. He speculates on its meaning, but quickly returns to the tent as the atmosphere becomes too creepy. Determining that there was no immediate threat, he attempted to reinflate their air mattress, which had deflated overnight. Despite his best efforts to calm down, the host remains visibly shaken and struggles to fall back asleep. The tension reaches its peak later that night when the host hears more footsteps circling the tent. The sound moves from one side of the tent to the other, as though someone is deliberately walking around them.
Hello?
Frightened, the host calls out but receives no response. The footsteps stop briefly before resuming. At this point, the host decides it's no longer safe to stay and quickly begins packing up their belongings. Visibly shaken, the host records themselves packing their valuables. He explains this plan to leave the campsite immediately, abandoning some of his gear to return for it later in daylight. He expressed fear that the footsteps sounded too deliberate to be an animal, reinforcing his decision to leave. After turning off the camera, the host grabs his bike and pedals out of the forest as quickly as possible, leaving the campsite behind. In the morning, the host returns to retrieve the remaining gear. He admits the night was far scarier than anticipated, citing the unexplainable noises and the feeling of being watched. While no definitive evidence of another person was found, the encounter left him rattled. He describes the experience as terrifying and expresses relief at having safely left the forest. Hosted by Max Power, Strange Places is a YouTube channel that gained notoriety for venturing into places that most people would not dare to go to. In this video, which was posted about 9 years ago, Max and his friend filmed their exploration of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, one of the most haunted and notorious graveyards in the United States. Bachelor's Grove is frequently listed among America's most haunted locations, known for its paranormal activity and infamous photo of the White Lady, or Madonna of Bachelor's Grove. The Chicago Sun-Times once featured this spectral figure, which skeptics have dismissed as a double exposure, but believers cite it as evidence of the supernatural. The cemetery's fame has inspired documentaries and low-budget films, adding to its mystique. The land was originally used by Native Americans as a burial ground. In the early 1800s, European settlers arrived and began using the area, which came to be known as Bachelor's Grove after it was bought and settled by 4 single men in 1820. The cemetery officially became a burial site in 1864, although its first recorded burial dates back to 1838. Paranormal activity wasn't reported until the 1950s, with accounts of blue orbs, ghostly lights, and a phantom house appearing to nighttime visitors. The cemetery became a target for grave robbers and vandals, with headstones toppled, coffins disturbed, and even satanic rituals reportedly taking place. While a fence was installed in the 1970s to deter such activity, it did little to stop further desecration. The desecration and occult activities are believed by some to have disturbed the spirits, leading to the site's reputation for hauntings. The exploration begins with the duo navigating the old abandoned Midlothian Turnpike that leads to the cemetery. Once a proper road, it is now overgrown and resembles a narrow trail through dense woods. The host notes the path's eerie isolation, which sets the mood for what's to come. Upon reaching the cemetery, they observe the evidence of vandalism firsthand: damaged headstones, missing markers, and debris scattered throughout the grounds. The cemetery is said to hold about 150 to 200 graves, though only a fraction remains visible due to years of neglect and interference. The hosts point out significant graves, such as the infant daughter tombstone, which visitors traditionally leave offerings on. Some believe failing to leave an offering risks a spirit following them home. The host recounts local legends, including the phantom house that appears to some visitors. Despite historical records stating no house ever existed near the cemetery, aerial photographs from 1938 reveal what appears to be a house west of the site, adding weight to the lore. Additionally, the surrounding lake has its own dark history. During the 1920s and 1930s, Chicago gangs reportedly used the lake as a dumping ground for bodies. Grave markers and headstones were also thrown into the water, and illegal firearms have been recovered from its depths. Other legends include the ghostly image of a farmer and his horse, said to have drowned in the lake while plowing fields, and later witnessed by workers emerging from the water as a spectral vision. As night falls, the exploration becomes more unsettling. Returning after regrouping at a nearby restaurant, the team ventures back into the woods, which are much harder to navigate in the dark. The host captures photographs of mysterious orbs of light, commonly reported by visitors. A red orb appears in several photos, which was not visible to the naked eye. The host highlights its significance, as red orbs have been previously reported at the site. Additionally, blue orbs are captured, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Along the way, the host recounts stories shared by locals.
Double worshippers that come here.
Yeah, at night.
Still?
Still?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen them or?
No.
No, that's the story.
I wish.
They still come here though.
Like, around Halloween.
Really?
Yeah.
So they might come tonight?
They might.
A few women showed us a strange picture they took.
That kid that I took the picture of, that face warped,
Yeah.
was on sitting on this lady in
What
white.
was odd on that, though, is that everything else was totally still.
Yeah.
It was a perfect picture except for the face. So, and, you know,
Which he could be. He could have been moving his.
He could
He could have been moving.
What?
Yes.
One individual described an encounter with a man dressed in all black, suspected to be involved in occult rituals, who silently followed him and his friends through the woods.
And there was this guy, he had a black hood on, black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and he was just kind of standing in the background, like just looking at me and my friends. And we were like, hey, is that a guy? Like, yeah, it's totally a guy. And he heard us say it, and then he starts like walking towards us, and we were like, all right, guys, out of here. But he followed us all the way out.
Others spoke about regularly finding evidence of satanic practices, particularly near Halloween. The investigation leads to several more discoveries, including a well and bones found in the woods, which they speculate could belong to animals like deer. However, navigating the overgrown terrain proves difficult, and the team gets tangled in thorn bushes, illustrating the physical challenges of exploring Bachelor's Grove. Despite these obstacles, they press on, attempting to locate the foundations of the rumored Phantom House, but are ultimately unsuccessful. The team returns to the cemetery for one final look. They attempt to decipher the engravings on some of the older tombstones, which have been worn down over time. One grave in particular catches their attention, marked Moss, where local legends claim the ghost of Randy Moss rises every Sunday. While the captured orbs provide a tangible element of mystery, much of what makes the cemetery so haunting lies in its reputation and the emotional responses it provokes in those who visit. Whether one believes in the supernatural or not, the cemetery's legacy as a place of intrigue and unease is undeniable. About a decade ago, this video was posted by Slab. It recounts a harrowing encounter experienced by a father and his family during a nighttime walk in the woods. The footage begins with the family walking along a wooded trail in the dark, a setting that immediately creates an unsettling atmosphere. The man notices something unusual and calls his family to follow him as he investigates further. He seems increasingly alarmed, urging his family to join him quickly. The suspense builds as they come across an eerie scene, a trail of candles leading to a specific area. This discovery sets the tone for what's to come, suggesting that the location is not just remote but potentially the site of something sinister. As they follow the trail, they notice even more alarming evidence: a bloody t-shirt and what appears to be a trail of blood.
Guys, come here. Guys, check it out. Come here. Come down here with me right now. Guys, seriously. Guys, come here now. Come here with me. We're gonna follow this trail. Hold on, look where the trail. Come here now. Come here with me right now. Come here. There's a blood trail and a t-shirt. There's a bloody t-shirt.
The man's voice grows more urgent, reflecting his mounting fear and concern for his family's safety. The unsettling discovery raises questions about what might have happened in the area and who or what might still be nearby. The family hesitates, torn between their curiosity and an instinctive desire to leave. The tension escalates dramatically when one of the children spots something strange behind a tree. At first, it's unclear what they've seen, but their persistent pointing and frightened tone convince the rest of the family to look. After some confusion about which tree they are referencing, they finally see it.
Yeah, go over there.
Where?
Oh, yeah. This is a prank, I know.
Go, go. I just saw him. Go. Don't fall up the stairs. Oh shit, get your flashlight, hurry.
A cloaked figure standing eerily still, watching them. The figure's appearance is shrouded in mystery, but its presence is menacing enough to send the family into a panic. Realizing the danger, the man and his family quickly retreat from the scene. They sprint back to their car, navigating the dark and uneven terrain in their haste to escape. The urgency of their flight is palpable, with the children calling out and the man encouraging them to move quickly, while also warning them to be careful not to fall. As they drive away from the location, the tension reaches its peak. The family spots something terrifying directly in front of their vehicle, a figure resembling the cloaked individual they had just fled from. This time, the figure is much closer, standing ominously in their path.
It's real? Back it up, back it up.
Go!
I'm trying to back up, I can't. I don't want to crash. God, he's coming back in the trees.
The man desperately tries to back the car away, but his panic makes the task difficult. His fear is amplified by the figure's movement back into the trees, as if it is watching their every move. In an act of urgency, the man manages to reverse the car and escape. They speed away, leaving the ominous figure behind. The video ends without further updates, leaving with a sense of unease and unanswered questions about what the family experienced in those woods. This video captures a father recording a casual walk with his daughter through the woods, an ordinary moment that takes an unexpected and eerie turn. As the father films, focusing on his daughter, Liana walking ahead, a large figure moves quietly in the background. The movement is subtle but distinct, standing out against the backdrop of trees and foliage. The figure appears humanoid in shape but much larger than any person, its dark silhouette partially obscured by the dense forest. The father and daughter remain entirely unaware of the creature's presence, continuing their stroll undisturbed. Later, as they review the footage at home, they are stunned by what they see. Upon replaying the video, they notice the shadowy figure moving in the background. The father and his family analyze the footage closely, noting the size and gait of the figure, which does not match that of a human. Its height, bulk, and movements align more closely with descriptions of the legendary Bigfoot, a creature said to inhabit remote forested areas. The discovery leaves them shocked and unsettled, transforming an otherwise normal family outing into a moment of mystery and intrigue. While the figure is not seen clearly enough to definitively identify, its presence sparks discussions about the possible existence of Bigfoot. The father and daughter, now realizing how close they may have been to the creature, reflect on how easily they might have missed it had they not reviewed the footage. Whatever the answer, the encounter adds another layer to the enduring mystery of Bigfoot and its place in folklore and modern-day sightings. This footage follows Nick Foster as he takes a casual walk in the woods with his dog, Poppy. During the outing, Nick films the serene environment, capturing the natural beauty of the area and commenting on the wildlife, such as squirrels darting through the trees. It appears to be a normal, peaceful walk, but the footage soon reveals something far more unsettling. As Nick continues walking and filming, Poppy eagerly follows, exploring the surroundings. At one point, Nick directs his dog to another path. Moments later, the camera inadvertently captures a pale, ghostly figure moving between the trees in the background.
Come here. Come on. This way.
The figure is partially obscured by the dense woods, but its movement and appearance stand out against the natural backdrop. Nick, unaware of the figure at the time, continues his walk without reacting, as if nothing unusual has occurred. It is only later, upon reviewing the footage, that he notices the eerie presence in the background. The pale figure appears human-like, with distinct features that lead Nick to speculate it resembles a soldier. He describes the figure as wearing a helmet and a trench coat, suggesting it could be the ghost of a soldier wandering the woods. Nick emphasizes that he and Poppy were alone during the walk, and that there were no other people in the area at the time of filming. This realization adds a layer of mystery and unease to the encounter. Viewers of the video also weigh in, with many agreeing that the figure resembles a soldier, possibly from a bygone era. The pale complexion, helmet, and coat-like silhouette further fuel speculation that the figure could be the spirit of a soldier lost in time. The sighting raises questions about the history of the location. Some viewers wonder if the woods might have been the site of military activity or battles, potentially linking the ghostly figure to a soldier who met their end in the area. Others suggest the figure could be a residual haunting, a type of paranormal phenomenon where a spirit or energy is believed to repeat actions tied to a specific location without awareness of the living. While Nick remains open to interpretations, he is clearly struck by the uncanny nature of the figure and how it seemed out of place in the otherwise tranquil setting. Poppy's calm demeanor during the walk adds another layer of intrigue, as animals are often thought to be sensitive to paranormal activity. The fact that Poppy did not react to the presence leaves Nick pondering whether the figure was even physically present. The video invites speculations on the nature of the figure while offering a chilling glimpse into the possibility of lingering spirits in unexpected places. This bonus clip shows a chilling moment when a boy, walking with his younger siblings through the woods, accidentally captures something eerie on camera. The outing starts as an ordinary walk, with the boy filming while playfully complaining about his siblings' antics. The setting is serene, but begins to grow darker as they progress. As the camera pans across the woods, something startling appears in the background.
My head in. It's getting dark. It's really cold. I have no idea where the dog is. What?
A dark, shadowy figure is briefly visible, seemingly watching the children from a distance. The figure's presence is subtle yet striking, standing still and partially obscured by the trees. Within moments, it vanishes, leaving no trace behind. The siblings, focused on their own conversations and playful banter, remain oblivious to the figure's appearance. Later, the boy notices the unsettling figure. Its dark shape, combined with the fading light of the woods, creates an eerie image. Adding to the mystery, the figure appears semi-transparent, as if it is not entirely solid. This detail fuels speculation that the figure might not have been human. Some viewers suggest it could be a ghost, especially given the local lore surrounding the area. The woods are reportedly said to be haunted, with stories of strange occurrences and sightings passed down over time. The figure's sudden appearance and disappearance align with these tales, adding weight to the idea that the boy may have unknowingly captured something paranormal. Its stationary position and the way it vanishes so quickly give it an otherworldly quality that defies easy explanation. The siblings' casual demeanor during the encounter contrasts sharply with the unsettling discovery in the footage, emphasizing how close they may have been to something extraordinary without realizing it. Viewers are left to wonder whether the figure was a trick of the light, a shadow, or genuine evidence of the supernatural.